You want to know how to get into the toy industry? I'm going to show you how. I get a lot of questions all the time about what do you have to do or any advice you can give about how to break into the toy industry. And that's, there's so much that can go into that I felt like, well, it's not just something I could just answer over like an Instagram or Facebook post. I feel like it's something that, I can share my experiences and, but it's on you guys to make it happen. So I'm going to tell you about the school that I went to where I got my degree in toy design. And you're probably like, wait, a degree in toy design? Yeah, it's a real thing. I got one right here. See? Bachelor's of Fine Arts in toy design. So I went to a school called FIT, that is the Fashion Institute of Technology. Kind of funny that that school would have a toy design program, but that's where I went to. It's in New York City. I attended that school from 2010 to 2012. It's a 2-year program for your bachelor's. I had done my associate's degree at another school prior to that in industrial design. And then before that, I went to the Joe Kubert School to do my illustration comic book art degree. It's not really a degree, it's a trade school. FIT was a very, very hard program. They only take a very, very small amount of students per year, a very grueling program. And it was, at the time, it was the only toy design program in the country. Now there is 2. There's one at a school called Otis out in California. Now, from what I've heard, that program was started by a graduate of FIT. So they kind of took the curriculum and maybe updated it a little bit. FIT sort of had some things that was a little dated, but it was still a great school. We had great toy industry professionals there that, what like one of my instructors was the VP of design at Fisher-Price. We had other individuals that worked throughout the toy industry, and it was cool because, we would go and visit other toy companies. Toy companies would come to us and give presentations and that sort of thing. So that was really fun. And then in between the 2 years you're at FIT, you have to do an internship. Now, prior to me going to FIT, I had done a boatload of freelance work for Hasbro and Mattel. And I had done an internship at Hasbro on G.I. Joe in 2010. Yeah, 2010. So I had this experience, this toy experience that some of the other kids didn't have. I was also one of the older kids, I think the oldest kid in class, because I went back to school late. So I was a little more mature, I had more drive to do this stuff and more experience. So I would try to talk and give some advice to some of the younger kids. And even when I was at Hasbro, when FIT would come visit, they'd make us give these presentations. And everyone did these flashy presentations with PowerPoints and this and that. And they let me give one. And I said, I'm not giving a PowerPoint presentation. I'm just going to talk to them. And I just talked to them about my experience, what you should do, and how to make the most of your time during your internships or the time at FIT or whatever school you were going to. Again, it's a very hard program, but I'm not saying that every toy company, you have to have your degree in toy design. A lot of toy companies take industrial design degrees and that sort of thing. It's just that FIT was very toy centric. And at the time they had a lot of toy contacts and this and that. Things may have changed now because, geez, I graduated in 2012 and, so it's been over 10 years and I'm sure things have changed. But I think, a lot of students still get into the toy industry from the toy design, program. But, again, it's very hard. You gotta be very dedicated. I lived in New Jersey. I was taking a bus every day, going into New York City, doing class and coming home, and you're up all night doing work. And I'm going to get through, some of the projects and show you the amount of work that went into these projects and what it took to do this program. So sit back, relax, and enjoy some of my old projects that I did, some of them good, some of them bad. And I'll give you some insight on what I did to go through my program that got me into the toy industry. So I'm going to start and go backwards a little bit. So at FIT, the first year you're there, you're kind of going through the motions, learning basic stuff, you know, drafting and marker renderings and that sort of thing. And it all culminates to the second year where your major products are your hard toy. You have to do a big hard toy, you know, some sort of model, but something made of plastic and, you know, big hard toy. And then your soft toy. So when you're there, you learn sewing and everything like that. So my first sewing project in sewing class was this platypus. So you learn how to make patterns, and then you learn how to sew. You know, we all had our sewing machines and our sewing kits and stuff like that, which is kind of funny. But in the end, I made this cool little plush toy with this argyle bottom to him. He was more of like a designer plush toy. Some people made really colorful things and this and that. You know, my friend who sat next to me, he made like this really cool purple and black saber-toothed cat that was really cool. But yeah, this is my platypus, and I picked up sewing and the soft toy designing really fast. So I was able to make like 4 of these in the time that students were making 1. And I made so many. I think I gave one to my mom or something. I think my stepmom has one. The school kept 2 of them. I have one, but yeah, this was my platypus. He was fun. So you kind of hone those skills, and then that goes into your soft toy. This is your major project for the whole program. And the soft toy is also paired with your storybook. You have to do a children's storybook. So, and also you end up doing boards and creating product to go with it. You're almost like creating an IP. So you basically spend like kind of the summer coming up with the idea for your children's storybook, and then you illustrate the storybook, and then you create your soft toy. Now, I really liked red pandas. I came from the comic book industry. So instead of doing a traditional, you know, giant spread, one simple image, couple lines of text, typical children's book, I decided to make it really challenging for myself. And I did a full 22-page comic book. And I can tell you right now, it was a terrible idea because it was an absurd amount of work. And I may have had some help cutting some corners. It's not like FIT can take away my degree nowadays. But listen, it's kind of like in the industry. If you need outside help to get something done because you're on a tight deadline, then you get outside help. It just so happened that maybe I had a little bit of outside help. However, I drew every single page. I drew all 22 pages. I might not have colored every single page, but I did all of the drawings for all 22 pages. I have all the original art. This wasn't done like I wasn't drawing on the computer, saving time. Like this was all done on comic book blue line paper. But the story was about this red panda who finds some humans. It's a weird story, but I ended up doing Paimba, my red panda character. He was fun. Another thing that I did, I was always looking for challenges there. I don't know why. I think I was like striving to like better myself. So I was like, I'm gonna make an articulated soft toy. Okay, good idea. So he has joints in him. He's got a bendy wire tail. He's got a knife that comes out of his knife sheath that I sculpted and created the leather work. He's got a drawstring backpack that has like his satchel with all his stuff in it. I created all the hemp. I tied all the hemp. He's got this little eagle talon on his necklace and stuff. You know, he's got this mohawk. This thing was intricate, and my teacher was like, "You're really gonna do all that?" And I said, "Yep, I'm gonna do it," and I did it. So I did my articulated bendy wire, soft toy, and I nailed it. And you do 2 storybooks. The school keeps a copy, and then I have 1 copy. You hand bind it, like they teach you how to hand bind it. So we had to learn all that, and just like the platypus, I ended up finishing my storybook, hours before everyone else. And the woman who ran the program was like, "Can you help everyone else?" I'm like, "Why do I have to help people? I should be rewarded for like finishing early." But that's what I get. But I'm proud of it. It's cool. I read the story to my son. It's pretty fun. But that is my soft toys and my storybook. So let's get into some other cool toy stuff, like real toy stuff. So this is like my big portfolio of stuff that I did. Now this is where, like, when I said FIT was maybe a little dated and stuff, they made you buy this big giant like leather bound portfolio. And I said, can't we just take that money and buy iPads and put it digitally. So when I walk into, you know, someone's office for an interview, I'm not putting this giant portfolio on their desk. But there was a reason why they made us buy the portfolios. I'm not going to get into that, but it was shady dealings. But we did it. So now I have this giant portfolio that I've been like lugging every time I move or something like that. So I keep it at the office, and you know, I said, let me break that open and see what this is all about. So these are like the boards you create while you're there. And this first board, like I said, when you're doing your soft toy and you're creating the storybook and your storybook character, you do stuff to go with it. So this was like, all right, well, what can go in the storybook? And I called it paintballware. And you had hoodies and, you know, iPod holders and belt buckles and headphones and stuff that looked like, you know, the character. So it's like kind of toy related, but, you know, just more like merchandise thinking as far as that. And it was just fun because it was like, you know, I got to draw, and this is like my drawings and you know, digital. This is digital stuff. I'll show you stuff where we were doing marker renders by hand. It was kind of crazy. So there's that. This is my game. I wanted to create a game, and I called it Hairball. And it's kind of like, you know, like Mousetrap or, you know, those classic games. But I thought if it was mice going around a board trying to steal cheese, and eventually like you feed treats to the cat, and it's like, or I think you had to like get treats or steal treats, but there was a timer in the cat, and eventually he would cough up a hairball on you. And that was like how you lost or something like that. So I felt like this one was fun. Like this was a game that actually could be done. A lot of ideas were far-fetched, but this one was really fun. I like this one. It was a cool idea, and you know, I don't know, maybe I'll pitch it to a company and they'll make it. This one's cool because this one got made in a way. This was a soft plush interactive toy. It was called Bone Breaking Bobby. I'm a big UFC fan, and I wanted like the old 1990s wrestling buddies, the soft, pillowy Hulk Hogan's and Ultimate Warriors. I wanted something like that, but a UFC kind of MMA character that you beat up. And he had like an internal skeleton that you can bend and crack, and when it ratcheted, so it sounded like you were like breaking his bones and stuff when you're submitting him. And you know, he was electronic and he made noise. Now the way it kind of got made was when I was at Jazzwares and they got the UFC license, I wanted to do a soft plush Conor McGregor that you wrestled. And that was what I did. Now it didn't have the internal skeleton, but he had sounds in it, and he had a jiggle switch so that when you pounded on him, he talked and made noises. So I got this done for the most popular fighter, my favorite fighter, Conor McGregor. That's why like the Conors in my office, and this one is kind of important to me because this one kind of got done in a way. Here's more Paimba stuff. This was an action figure, a feature action figure that was part of the story. He pulled down on his tail, he flipped, he came with a light up torch, and he made sound. So just like a big, you know, big interactive feature figure. You know, nothing crazy, but something fun. This is the creme de la creme here, the next one I'm going to show. This is my Imaginext Lazarus Pit playset. I love the Imaginext line. Like, I think if I could work on any line, it would be Imaginext. I think it's so much fun. The stuff they're able to do, it's very kid-centric, just cool looking. And they did really cool stuff. They did play sets, big mech suits for Batman, really cool vehicles. Now, my teacher at the time was one of the head designers on Imaginext. So I kind of did it to like, you know, suck up to him a little bit. But I did a Batman playset, and my favorite villain is Ra's al Ghul and Bane, and you know, the whole Lazarus Pit story idea. So I said, I'm going to do that playset. So it's basically you put Ra's al Ghul in, you could lift him up and down the Lazarus Pit with a green light. You know, Robin can get caught in jail here, falling rocks. You know, catapult. It came with a little Batwing with an IR laser that made the features happen. So all the IR things you hit made certain things happen. And my teacher, he pitched this to the Imaginext team because he's like, I love this. He's like, can I pitch this to the team? I said, absolutely. They didn't end up doing it, But it was still fun to do because I designed, they ended up doing a Bane later, like years later. I don't think they ever did a Ra's al Ghul, but I was able to design, you know, Imaginext looking Ra's al Ghul and Banes. This one is my favorite one. I should probably frame this and put this on the wall because this one I'm super proud of. This is probably one of my favorite things that I did during my time at FIT. Okay, now we're getting into some marker render stuff. We hand did marker stuff on vellum, which sucked because if you messed up, you had to start all over again. This was another game that I created. This was Pharaoh Frenzy, where like 4 players played on each side, and you had to roll your die, and if you landed on your certain piece, you got to put that piece in. And I think the first person to put all their pieces in wins. And was there a timer? Yeah, oh yeah. So if you put all your pieces in and you win, you get the, you know, the golden sarcophagus. But if time ran out, the big mummy zombie guy popped out and everyone loses. So it was like a beat the clock kind of game. I thought this one was funny. I always loved like Egyptian stuff, so it was cool. But having to marker render like gold is hard, man. Hard. Like you gotta be really choice about your colors and what you do to make it like shiny. You know, you have to convey that. But yeah, this was all that shading. That's all marker render. This stuff was wild back then. No one's using marker renders now anymore. Everything's digital. But yeah, you know, we were doing it back then. This I won't go too crazy with. When we would do these design boards, you'd have to do these things like, and you have to go through like your thinking, your ideology, and your sketches and stuff on, you know, where you were thinking. Like, look, originally it was a mummy, and then I made him like really scary looking, you know, different color studies. So you had to kind of do this stuff all the time when you were designing. This was a very early one. It's kind of cheesy. It would never be able to be done, but it was cheesy, and I did it just because I was trying to do an action figure thing. But I wanted to do a new Silverhawks figure, but I wanted it to be like an armor change kind of thing, like the old Batman playset. You just spun it, and it, you know, revealed Batman. But this I wanted you put him in the chamber and you spun it and it pushed the armor pieces onto him. I'm sure like it could be done. It'd be really expensive to do, but I thought it was fun. It was a neat little, you know, design, an updated design on Silverhawks, and, you know, putting them in there. So yeah, that was cool. Now remember, guys, toy design is not just fun making action figures and vehicles. You're doing stuff that, you know, the assignment is something that might not always be as fun. Now I'm trying to remember, military mutts, what the assignment was, but this was like a room safe. You know, kids had room safe. So it was like a plush dog, and, you know, you could put your stuff in the barrels, like St. Bernards would carry those barrels, and you could put like, you know, your stuff in there, and it had a remote. And he laid down. If you came by him and you didn't have the remote, he would growl at you. But then if you had the remote, he would sit up and you'd open your safe. So fun idea, would never get made. I just don't remember what the assignment was on this, but it was fun. Ooh, this one. I should have dug this model out. This was what my hard toy was based off of. So when I told you guys that you have to make a hard toy, I made my vehicle. So I designed this vehicle my first year at FIT. It was called the Vulture. I thought it was a cool vehicle, like G.I. Joe side, 3 3/4, and you flew it around, and it had a handle, like a gun handle on the back, and the talons reached out, and you could grab figures. So you can see, look, we got Duke down here. So the feet would grab the figures. Now, when I did the actual hard toy, I moved the handle up here to the top fin, and there's finger holes in it, and you pull it like a trigger, and I made it, and the legs extended out. Now, with your hard toy, you were able to like kind of use some pieces from existing toys, but a lot of it had to be, you know, toys that like original parts that you created. But I remember the legs, the gearing and linkage, I used an ATST. So when I was an intern at Hasbro, I found an ATST and used the legs for the Vulture. So that's a cool one. And the last one up here that I'll talk about, this one we talked about on our 3POA podcast. And it's something that I think I might dust off and bring out into Valaverse a bit. This is insectoids. And I think this was a blind box assignment. Blind box was just starting to get really big with like Shopkins. And the idea was, how can you do something new that's a blind box? So I created this robotic insect looking line, and the parts came in these cocoons. And you didn't know what parts you were getting in the cocoons, and when you broke them out, they all fit together, so you can make all these different colors. So it's like green parts and this and that. But it was really fun. And I was like, there's something to that nowadays with blind box stuff being so prevalent. Like, this could be something really cool. You know, you don't know what you're getting and you can customize. So who knows? Maybe if you guys think that insectoids is cool enough. I mean, I own the design, I own the name because I created it. So it's like, maybe I'll start doing it. I don't know. I've always wanted to do some blind box stuff. So it might be good to dust off another one and get it going. So that was a look back at a bunch of my designs during the time. As you can see, come a long way. And, you know, from FIT to then, you know, Fisher-Price and Hasbro and then Jazzwares, and working on hundreds of different items, but how you can see like where you learn and hone your skills and that sort of thing. So if you guys want to be toy designers, I'd say, you know, get yourself an education, either industrial design or, you know, or toy design, one of those two programs, because that'll really help you. That'll help you, you know, break in the door and separate you from the other people. You know, I just felt like when I was hired by Hasbro, I had separated myself from the pack. I wanted to be the guy, like the best in the class that had the most skill, you know, so that there was no question about hiring me. And, you know, when I graduated FIT, Hasbro didn't have the job opening yet. They wanted me, they just didn't have it. So I took a job at Fisher-Price for, I think it was like 2 months or 3 months, while they were prepping the job at Hasbro. And then I got the call and I immediately gave my notice, and then I moved up to Rhode Island and went to Hasbro. So, you know, but, you know, when you're in the toy industry, like, you can go anywhere. There's so many different toy companies, you know, Jada and Moose over in Australia, and Mattel and Hasbro, you know, Jazzwares. So there's still a good amount of companies to choose from, and they're always expanding and looking for different roles and stuff, whether it's engineering or plush or, you know, regular design or marketing. So if you want to get in the toy industry, you know, here's some insight, and hopefully you guys find it useful, and maybe we'll see you in the toy industry down the road. So thanks guys for checking out the video. Hope you enjoy the content. We got new videos every Saturday, 9 a.m. Make sure you subscribe to the channel, you know, like and subscribe to all that stuff, turn on notifications, and you'll hopefully enjoy everything else that we have coming down the pipe.